Guys, Lakers came in looking much more like the team we are accustomed to seeing. Take game 2, even the series at 1-all. 2 big points of emphasis coming in. Turn up the physicality. I'd argue from the eye test, it looks much better night and day from game 1 to game 2. And then adjusting defensively to Minnesota threes. You go from allowing them to shoot 50% on 21 of 42 in game 1 to forcing them into a season-low 5 made threes tonight on just 20%, 5 of 25. Luka led the way offensively, 31, 12, and 9. Big game, a great response by LA.
Yeah, it was a must response from the Lakers in game 2 tonight. They had to come out and set the tone with their bodies and their minds and with that physical tone that they had tonight. And they did it by eliminating, a lot of the easy shots that Minnesota got in game 1. I didn't see too many just wide open, uncontested shots, maybe 2 or 3 toward the end. I think Minnesota's bench last game, I think, scored plus 40 points, I believe, 43 points tonight. I don't think that was
19.
A problem. And, when you get fouled and you go to the line 20 times and you hit them all, that right there helps you make up a lot. So I just thought overall, guys like Gabe Vincent early in the game, they needed to get some of the others involved. He was aggressive. And Luka did his thing. LeBron, I just thought as a team, overall, they were connected. And they did it with force. They met Minnesota's force tonight.
Certainly 94-85 felt a little old school. Rob, your thoughts?
He was focused, man. You can tell by a player's interview. When playoff comes around, the jovialness kind of disappears and getting locked in. You can see right there that he's locked in. For him to make that statement that, he realizes a playoff game, I think he has to put that on himself because he's the leader of that group. He's been in his team, been in the league for 20-plus years. And so he has to get this team ready. I think they locked in. And sometimes when you have a week off, you kind of come out a little rusty. And you could really see tonight defensively how in tune they were with one another. I thought the defensive game plan was excellent. The only thing is they need to figure a way out when they ISO Ant-Man up top because that's the only thing. On the wing, they're good. But that, other than that, I think they had an excellent game plan from the offense to the defense to just, the rotations. Everything was good.
The bad news for the Minnesota Timberwolves is there were 3 days between games after game 1. So the Lakers got to read and hear about and watch on TV how they were out physicaled so badly in game 1. And I thought J.J. Redick set the tone right after that game 3 days ago. He said, we need to think of it as a playoff game. We thought of this as a regular season game. Tonight was a playoff game, and the Laker defense was incredible. 85 points for Minnesota. After losing to this team by 22 a few days ago, season low for the Timberwolves, no less. Lakers forced 3 turnovers in the final 3 minutes and also blocked Julius Randle's shot to end another Minnesota possession. Great job by Laker D. Alley. They won the game tonight down the stretch.
I think, too, speaking of down the stretch, you think of execution, which was a big focal point coming into this series, as JJ mentioned before, even game 1. And you speak of the defense that you guys have all alluded to and discussed. You just mentioned it was a season low in points for Minnesota at 85. By the way, they held the longest active streak in terms of points scored over 100 at 59 straight games. You hold them well below that, 15, obviously, in a playoff game. Big game. How do you now take this and translate it to the road here in the postseason?
Yeah, it was good that they had that type of game in game 2 when they really needed it. So when you hold a team that low in points who are used to, it sends a message, okay? It's like, what, they only scored 85 points?
Yeah.
So they know the defense can be sticky. It doesn't throw game 1 out the window, but they know the Lakers aren't who they played in game 1. So they know what they're up against now. And when you go on the road, if you take that kind of attitude, that kind of physicality, that kind of defense on the road, they remember game 2 when they only had 85 and they weren't getting open shots and they weren't getting uncontested shots and they weren't getting anything easy. It starts to play, and that's the beauty of a 7-game series. You got the same team every night. You ain't got to worry about, traveling different cities. You playing the same players, and that's what makes it tough. That grind. You got to play against the same guy. He knows what you're doing, and if the Lakers can keep this type of defense going, and rebounding, it's going to fare well on the road.
I think for me, you look at guys like Nas Reed and Conley, two of the guys that kind of like the backbone, they're kind of the glue for them. I think they kept them off kilter. I think Conley had 0 points. Nas Reed was in foul trouble. And we're always going to talk about Ant-Man. We're going to talk about Julius Randle. But you got to let, I always call them the others. And, I call them the specialists. You can't let Daniel and these guys get off. And tonight, the Lakers were able to not let these guys be an impact on this game. And for me, that's what it's all about. Because everybody knows Ant-Man going to get his, Julius going to get his. But those other 12 guys, 13 guys on that team, whatever you want to say, you can't let them have exceptional night because you go back and look at what Nas Reed did, 6 from 9. Look what Daniels did, 3 from 3. You negate that, you get a win.
Now the Lakers have to go on the road. Obviously, really good home team this year, not as good on the road, and not very good in Minnesota going back to 2021. They've only won one time at Target Center, James and Rob and Allie. So Lakers need to kind of really dial even more into the playoff atmosphere because you got to win on the road. Minnesota already did. They already wrenched back home court advantage after the Lakers worked so hard for 6 months to get a top 4 seed. So now it's on the Lakers to go in there, Allie, in 3 nights. So again, they get a nice break. LeBron said, hey, you got to be dead tired after a game like this.
That's not what he said. Say what he said.
I'll leave that to you guys. You can get away with it. But they got time to rest. Got to get on the flight, get to Minnesota. But that game 3 is going to be a big deal.
Look, it wasn't always pretty. You point to a guy like Jaden McDaniels, who was a lot of talk coming out of game 1, and rightfully so. He had 25 in game 1 on 11 of 13 from the field, 3 for 3 from deep. Much more attention to him, obviously, from an intensity standpoint. And you see the result. Nas Reed, the same thing. We always call him the Laker killer. Tonight, not effective or impactful. I do want to kind of go to the flip side of all of this, obviously, from an offensive standpoint, because it always wasn't pretty either. But I will say the Minnesota Timberwolves, they were 20-1 when holding opponents to under 100 points. The Lakers with 94, led by Luka. A lot of talk coming in. How would he respond? He put it on himself. He had 31, 12, and 9. The 9 assists is what I am looking at, obviously, because just 1 in game 1.
Mm-hmm.